Something in Swedish that's hard for us, but thank you, Kerstin. Welcome.
Well, at least your Swedish is way better than my Finnish. So.
Thank you.
Good day, everybody. As you've been told, I'm here to talk about the Cascade experience that Tampere had this June. That remote, can I use that to steer the presentation, or do I need to?
You can use mine.
You're already proving your right to be here. Yeah. This Cascade project, it's hard. I have to stand still, apparently. Yeah. It's about mutual learning between cities in Europe on how you can take the lead on local energy sustainability issues and climate change issues. And the Cascade project, it's co-founded by the EU program Intelligent Energy Europe, and it's led by Eurocities that are situated in Brussels. And the project is for 36 months, so now we are kind of halfway. And there are 18 partner cities in 11 different countries in Europe, and where Tampere is one of those cities, the only one in Finland. And Malmö is kind of a partner city as well. The goal is, like I more or less already told you, to find ways how cities can learn from each other. And we are trying some different methods on how to do that best, and to see what outcome those different measures have. And one of them is the peer review that we had here in June. And we work in 3 different thematic areas. It's refurbishment of buildings and districts, it's transport, and it's renewable energy. Where Tampere is part of the thematic area refurbishment, where Malmö is the thematic leader. So we're not really, it doesn't matter, we're not really part of the peer review, but we're more or less leading it. So, the peer visit, there are 5 groups of cities coming, for example, to Tampere, and evaluating how we are working in the sustainable area and focus on refurbishment on buildings and districts. And it results in a peer learning report. And then we have also study tours where officials from like 3 or 4 municipalities go to another city. And then we have mentoring where officials from 2 cities come to 1 city to learn. And then we have work shadowing, where one official from 1 city goes to another city and deeply follows the work of that person for 2 days. So that's the background. We were here in June, and there were officials from Birmingham, Eindhoven, Milan, Mannheim, and Warsaw. And also us from Malmö and Eurocities, the project leaders. And beforehand we had a self-assessment report that Tampere had conducted themselves, so that we could, where you had told us where you think you are on different aspects, how you are working and how well you are working in some different aspects. And we read that, and we had that as a background when we came here and had 18 interviews, and we had study tours and workshops to learn even more, to be able to evaluate you and to be able to really deeply know what kind of feedback we will give you. Because the point is that you should be really, this should be really useful for you. So we really need to have deep knowledge on how you work and how you are planning and such things, so that we can, from our own experience, come back to you with relevant feedback and ideas on how to continue the work. And we delivered a report to you in the beginning of November. So, of course, we have a lot of impressions from the visit here, and we also have some recommendations. Now I will start with a general impression and recommendation for the city as such, and then I will go on to the more specific thoughts we have on the ECO2 project. And first of all, we think it's very good that you have the way you organize it with a sustainable development and city planning in the same department. It's good. Okay, you can always cooperate no matter what, but it's so much easier if you're closer, both organization-wise and also where you are actually physically placed. The less like doors you have to open to cooperate with someone, the easier it is. But we didn't really find one single person being in charge of those issues, and that might lead to some problems. That there can be, if you don't really know who is ultimately in charge, you don't really know who takes the decision, who to ask for advice, etc. So we saw that as something you really need to look into and try to restructure in some way. And also, you see, I'm mixing good points and bad points here so that you don't get depressed if I start with the good ones and then go over to the bad ones and you just remember that. So that's, I mix them. So we also see that you're doing a lot of pilots in the field, and that they are really successful, and we're really impressed by some of the things that we've seen. And we really hope that you will take this a step further and do this not only as pilots and projects, but also really do it throughout, like it's like a mainstream, that you do that as the business as usual procedure. And this is really hard. I mean, I come from Malmö. We're quite well known for all the good work we're doing, but we have the same problem that we are very lot, to a great extent we are project-based, project-financed, and taking that next step, that is something you really, really, really have to have a strategy to do, and that is a long-term strategy. So just try to do that. Try to take that as I just have the Swedish word in here, but just try to do that and really take the opportunity to plan long ahead in the future. And then if you want to be the lead in Finland and in Europe, I think that is what you have to do, because then you will be a great example if you really, really, really mainstream this. And we also see that apart from the energy efficiency in buildings, you are doing quite a lot of nice work in other sustainability fields as well. That is really good. And maybe you should work a little bit to integrate those different aspects and really develop a sustainable city perspective. Because that is also something that might be good to tell outside of the city and outside of the country, that if you're looking at this from many different aspects, that you're really taking that entire look upon it. And we know, we have seen, we have met a lot of engaged and knowledgeable people, both politicians and officials. And that is a great asset to have. It's something you really can build upon and work with. And if you let those people have ideas, and if you are available to listen to those and use them and transform them into something that you can actually work with within the municipality, that is really great. Because usually there are a lot of potential that you don't really use, and it's not because you're evil or something, it's just, it's not always easy to find the real potential in people and in organizations and in groups. But we have seen it, it is there, and yeah, just try to do the best of it. We were a little bit lacking a clear strategy for retrofitting of buildings, like really a strategy that covers it all, both municipality owned and privately owned, like in different kind of land, different kind of buildings. That is also a good basis to work from. And we've seen that you do cooperate a great deal, and that you have a lot of cooperation also outside the municipality with other stakeholders, with not only with the energy company, of course, and also other building companies, etc. And that is really good. I think that is crucial if you really want something to happen, that you are involving others, because sure, you are the municipality, you can drive things on your own, you can make things happen, but you don't have full power over everything that happens in the city, of course not. So if your views on the sustainability issue is transferred into to those others, that will be good for the planet in the end. So, what did we think about the ECO2 project? First of all, we found this structure with the strategic projects. We think that it's really good. It's a good way to tell the organization that this is important, and that this is something you really want to promote. And as far as we could see, the ECO2 project, it's really a good start. The way it is organized, the way things you are doing, it's a really good start for this work. And we really think it should be continued as long as possible. And ECO2 is, they are a little bit thinking outside the box. It's not only the ordinary thinking, and that is really needed. You need some of that thinking to really drive things, to get things moving. And here we have some of those skilled persons that I talked about before, and make sure you really use them. And they have so much to give, both inside the organization and outside, of course. And one specific point that we found, that awareness raising is an area where they could do very much, for both the inhabitants in the city and for other officials and for stakeholders like building companies, etc. Because this is a very important part of this work. You can't believe that people or organizations or companies will learn things by themselves, or that they will automatically have the same priorities as you do. So this is some kind of almost commercial thinking you have to have, even in this area. I know it's a little bit not non-standard to promote energy efficiency and the environment issue, but I think we all need to think a little bit more like commercial creators when we talk about the environment, to really get the message out there. What we think for ECO2 is the structure as such needs to be strengthened. It's such a good basis, and we would also love to see that the long-term financing for ECO2 would be decided on, and that it's not like considered as a project, but more as something that will go on some national part of the municipality. And when we did the interviews, we realized that people have very different expectations on what ECO2 is and what they can deliver and how they are able to work and things like that. And that is something that really has to be clarified, because that raises insecurity, uncertainty, and it's kind of hard for ECO2 to work under those circumstances where you get different expectations and you think you deliver what someone wants you to, but maybe you don't because the expectations are differing. That is kind of an important message to you, that look into this and see. Of course, what I'm saying here is not I wouldn't call it the truth, but it is what we have found. And if you find the same, then you really need to work on that. And we also thought that it seemed like ECO2 was a little bit its own entity, that it wasn't really integrated into the organization. And that might cause that others in the organization are thinking that, okay, they are doing their things, it's not relevant for me, let them do that, but no one really cares, but people might not really take everything that comes from there for what it is, or seriously enough. So that is also something that you should find a way forward with. So that is, I think, the most important tips I have for you concerning the ECO2 project. And from this Cascade group, we really think that ECO2 is good, and that it should continue, and that you as a municipality should give it the best tools to do the best job that we know that they are capable of. And I was also asked to give some good examples from other cities that are in the Cascade project. So I have 3 examples from 3 different cities, and this is not something you could just copy-paste and use here, but more like ideas on how you can think upon things, and just maybe give you some push in some direction. So I will only go through it briefly, and I don't really know about the time here. Do I have a few minutes? Yeah, so briefly it is. First, we have the Birmingham Energy Savers, where the municipality invests in some energy efficiency and also photovoltaic measures that in private houses, and that the inhabitants doesn't have to pay for them, but they pay back through the lower energy bills. That part of that reduction in costs gets to the municipality instead of to the inhabitant, but they also get a lower cost for the energy. So it's benefits for both the municipality and the inhabitants, and they all work under the so-called golden rule, where every measure has to be cost effective, otherwise it is not done. So it's a way that you can finance even also private investments in private houses. And here from Warsaw, the SEEP Secretariat, it's more of a way of organizing. The SEEP, it's the Sustainable Energy Action Plan that you have to have in order to sign the Covenant of Mayors that Tampere has. And they have just organized it so that, because you have to, there you have some things you have to monitor, that you really get the results that you have promised, etc. And they have like picked persons from each department that will report back to the secretariat, and in that way you really get the information needed, and you have it also. It means that the issue is alive in all the departments. So it's just a way that you can organize it. And finally, we have Milan. It's a way how you can finance energy efficiency measures. And that is more for the construction or refurbishment. Where you can, I know you have something similar with the reduction in prices for the land if you build up to a certain standard. And here, here they use a different kind of fee that they are like working with, and it's also it's also proportional to how much you're saving in the building. And it's not. It's just something that you can look upon, and maybe it can inspire you in some way. And that was all for me. Thank you for listening, and good luck with the ECO project.
Thank you very much. There is still time for one or two questions, but because you're Finns and you're shy, it takes a while that you're thinking about that question. So I'm speaking with Kerstin before that. Our city council, we went to Malmö at the start of the last decade. And I admire that new buildings at the coast area there, where you are heating the buildings with the water and of the sea, and actually you are using that as a cooler also. So when did you start that project?
I guess you mean the Western Harbour.
Yes, I do. I didn't remember the name.
Yeah. Well, it was when we started. Well, it was made for the exhibition in 2001. So I can't really say what date the planning started, but so in the late 90s.
All right, because that was pretty smart. When we came back to Tampere after that, and we went to discuss with the constructions in here, they didn't even understand the issue. So I think that we are in a good shape nowadays, aren't we?
Yes.
All right. So do we have any questions? No, we don't. Okay. Thank you, Kerstin.